I'm Tony Ruiz of Gold Derby here with S. Leo Chiang, Oscar nominee in the documentary short subject category for his film Island in Between. And Leo, before we start, there was a really great video that you posted on social media of you finding out that you had the nomination and the look on your face. I think it's one of the things those of us that just love the Oscar so much just live for. What was going through your head in that moment?
Uh, I think I was in serious shock. I had to say that as the name starts to come out, I was like, oh, okay, I think I know who all going to be nominated, you know. And I kind of, for that split moment, I counted our film out, and then our film's name appeared, and I just couldn't believe it. And of course, I was in public, so I couldn't sort of stand up and scream. I guess I could, but I was really, it was unbelievable. I mean, it was really hard to process what exactly was happening.
Well, and especially because the film is so personal, and I feel like it also kind of shines a light on something that not a lot of people know about, which is this part of the world. People like to talk about, China and Taiwan and Hong Kong and all that entire geopolitical area in kind of like a vacuum. But very few people, I think, in the West at least, understand the nuances of it. Is that one of the things that kind of motivated you with this film?
Very much. I mean, that's the exact thing that's motivated me to make this film. I feel like, at least now, right? Like when, when I first came to the U.S., like people couldn't tell Taiwan from Thailand. I mean, a lot of people still cannot, right? And people are very confused in terms of Taiwan's relationship with China. But like in the last few years, there's so much reporting about that region. But every time Taiwan or Hong Kong is mentioned, really, it's always in the context of this like geopolitical back and forth between the U.S. and China. But there are not necessarily a whole lot of storytelling, especially sort of personal, storytelling from Taiwan. And it was very much my intention to want to present that point of view and to complement, right, and contrast what's already out there about Taiwan.
And so for people who haven't seen this film, this island, which I think at one point you refer in the film to it as almost like it's almost like a cork at the top. Explain how this island kind of fits into this whole narrative.
So what's strange about this island, Kinmen Island, is that even though it's ruled by Taiwan, it's part of Taiwan, it's actually geographically located like right inside of a bay in China. So the news clip that you're referring to, which is actually an American newsreel, right? Compared Kinmen to West Berlin, because geographically West Berlin's this like bizarre piece of quote unquote free land, surrounded. Oh, okay. What's going on there? I think I have some gesture thing turned on my Zoom. West Berlin was this piece of free land that's surrounded by communist East Germany, and Kinmen's the same thing. It's a piece of Taiwan that's surrounded by mainland. So and it's fascinating how that place even still exists the way it is. Basically, I think that during the Chinese Civil War, which is overlaps World War II in terms of timeline. So in 1949, when they decided to stop fighting, that was the place that they chose to stop. With a lot of factors involved, of course, U.S. was definitely involved. Obviously the Chinese Communist Party and the Nationalist Party were involved. So. It's this sort of weird remnant from the Cold War that remains unresolved. I mean, much like Korea, I think another comparison of the Kinmen Island, it's kind of like the border between North and South Korea, the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, where it's this bizarre combination of being this really, a relic of this really cruel, violent war, but now a tourist attraction, where you go and gawk at the other side, but it's also this, ghost that haunts you and tells you, well, this might happen again, in the not so distant future.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that I think the film really kind of highlights. And I'll admit, as somebody who only hears news clips about what's going on, in the relationships between Taiwan and China, that there really is so much more nuance to it. And so, how did you, in such a short kind of time frame of a 20-minute film, what was it that you wanted to kind of have viewers take away from it?
Well, I think that I think sort of personal and emotional and humanizing. I mean, those are the main approach. I think that we decided pretty early on that whatever I was going to say, in my narration in the film. So you know this, but maybe for those who have not, may not have seen the film, I'm in the film. My story, my family story is in the film, and I narrate in the film, not as like a voice of God narration, but actually I talk about my story and my opinions and my experience. And that was it. Like we decided that because we wanted to remain personal, everything that's said in there, it has to be something that I experience or something that is directly coming out of my contemplation of this particular situation. I was not going to act like a historian or a reporter to kind of explain the situation. So, and the hope is that by sharing my personal experience, that the international audience can connect to this place, much better. This place that for most of people is really unfamiliar, and even many people who know about, who have been keeping up with Taiwan and China, which sounds like you also have, don't know about this particular situation and don't know about all the in-between identities that exists, in Taiwan, given the relationship with China and with US.
Well, and I think that lack of knowledge of what a lot of people have, I think you use a metaphor, I think, so brilliantly. It's about like almost like divorced parents fighting over a child and the child not being able to have their own voice.
Right. I would say this, and I don't know, maybe it's a controversial statement, but sometimes I consider Taiwan to be a colony of US. I mean, it's not obviously it's not a formal relationship, but Taiwan, like growing up every day, I knew exactly what's happening in the US. I knew who the president of US was. I knew the news item of the day, and culturally, the Taiwanese people kind of, admires and worships US pop culture. It's very much a colonial relationship. And some would also argue that Taiwan can exist today is also because US involvement. Without US backing Taiwan, China probably would have swallowed Taiwan up a long time ago, given the size difference between China and Taiwan. So yeah, I mean, I think that this sort of being torn between these three, or really, as Taiwanese person with the Taiwanese government being torn between these two superpowers, it's very frustrating in some ways. We do feel like we're not in control of our own future. We do feel like we'll constantly have to fight to even be seen because the Chinese government's pressure. Like we can't use our own country's name or flag at the Olympics. We're not part of organizations like the World Health Organization or the World Trade Organization. I mean, these things are basic, rights for any country in the world. Taiwan doesn't have. So I just feel like we're constantly trying to just be like, hey, like we're people too, or our existence matter too. So yeah, it's really, I feel like that sort of custody battle analogy is very much about this powerlessness and frustration that we have.
And yet, at the same token, I think one of the things that surprised me, and maybe it shouldn't have, because of the media coverage and a lot of the narrative in our politics about China, you also kind of portray, both the good and the bad, but you also do kind of shine a light on the good aspects of China, which I don't think a lot of people in this country know.
Well, I think that that's the other thing that I'm trying to do. I think what you're referring to is my personal experience, being drawn to China after the door kind of opened up a little bit, 2000s, where a lot of people from Taiwan and also from all over the world kind of flocked to China. It was really seen as a land of opportunity, in many ways, not unlike the way that a lot of people see the US for a long time, right? This was a really exciting new place with, growing prosperity, with people are, getting more connected internationally, with really interesting stories coming out of there, interesting art and literature being made. And me, growing up learning about China and having the same sort of ancestry, right, with people in China and knowing the language, it was a natural place for me to go and explore. And also as a documentarian, right? Like, I mean, a huge reason why I'm doing the work that I do is because I love going to places that intrigues me, and China absolutely qualifies. And it was a really exciting place for a good decade or two. I mean, I was there for on and off for about 15 years, and I made really a lot of good friends there. I saw a lot of really fascinating things there. I made a film there I'm very proud of in 2018, our Time Machine. So yeah, I mean, I think that given the way that the news is, especially in the U.S., about China, people see the government as this really scary place. People see the Chinese people as these like docile, monolithic, obedient little robots, and that's simply not the case. It's no more true than how all Americans are, sort of beer guzzling, burger eating, right? I mean, it's a stereotype, and I want this film to challenge that, and I want people to see that yes, you can disagree with the government's policy, which I very much disagree with the Chinese policy in what it's trying to do with Taiwan, and then it frankly it's sort of acting like a bully in many ways on an international stage, but that's not who the people are. I mean, sure, there are people that support that, but there are also a huge swath of people who are, really interested in being, good members of the world community, who question their government's judgment and who support Taiwan and support democracy and all of that. They just aren't able to speak up because of the system that's in place right now.
Well, so as we're recording this, we're a little less than a month out from the Oscars, and I just want to know, because you get, in many ways, this is not old hand for you. This is your first Oscar nomination, and you're going to the Academy Awards. Just tell me what you think of what goes through your mind on a daily basis leading up to March 10th.
I think maybe once or twice a day I have to kind of pinch myself. It is quite surreal. And it's like people. I'd be lying to you to say that I never sort of dreamt of being an Oscar nominee, and even for me to just say that phrase just now, it just kind of baffles me. I think at this moment, I'm just kind of thrilled with the opportunity that the nomination kind of affords us to be able to talk to you, talk to people who are interested in the film, and to be able to continue to get the film out. Like the reason why we were really excited about our partnership with New York Times OpDocs is we knew that they have a huge platform and a lot of people get to see it. So that's kind of the work at hand right now. But I'm also trying to figure out what I'm gonna wear. And my partner who's in Taiwan, he's like he can't find a tux that fits him, so I have to kind of figure out how to do some of those logistical stuff. And it was amazing to go to the nominees luncheon and be able to talk to like I was such a fanboy. It was kind of embarrassing. I'm sure I was embarrassing my team. So, you know, as a cinephile, as somebody who truly loves films, and you know, which is the reason why I'm making, you know, films, this has been, you know, definitely been a dream to be here. And I'm you know, I mean, I'm really determined to enjoy it. And I know it's such a cliche, the whole like, you know, nomination is a win, but I really truly feel that way. I mean, we I don't think we ever imagined that we would be here, you know. And the really funny thing is, I think there was like some article that comes out, and like we're the longest shot in our category, you know, which one of the which film in each category is the dark horse, and we were definitely it. So, you know, I just wanted to enjoy this journey, and you know, and have a great time in the next couple of weeks.
And I also just want to just say, in terms of what this does, in terms of your, you know, the types of projects, what types of projects are you looking to do in the future after this?
You know, I am a committed documentarian. I will continue to make documentaries. I think at this moment, I feel particularly useful in Taiwan. I feel like my you know, transnational background makes me a good translator of the situation there for you know, for the folks outside of the region who are interested in it. You know, I'm a good storyteller of those stories for foreign audiences. So I want to continue to make Taiwanese films. I have a even more personal film that's in the works right now about my family's immigration experience, but I'm kind of using it to look at the Taiwan-US relationship, you know, which I don't think very many people know that much about unless, you know, you're a Taiwanese American. And again, like I'm trying to tell it from a hyper personal first person perspective, and hopefully that makes it easy for people to connect and to understand. So I'll continue to do that. You know, I'm if you look at my body of work, they're kind of all over the place subject wise, but the theme is usually about, you know, sort of seeking a sense of belonging, the definition of home, you know. So I'm sure I'll continue to pursue projects, you know, of those subject matters.
Well, Leo, best of luck. Just enjoy it, because it's such, I envy you your your first Oscars experience. So best of luck to you. Everybody, go to goldderby.com, make your predictions for the Oscars, and stay tuned for more interviews in the coming weeks. Leo Chiang, Island in Between is the film. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, Tony.